Hi everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It's the weekend, August 26th. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. And of course, this is the weekend video. We'll go over what happened last week in the markets. And then we'll take a look ahead, see what we got coming up. So there is some stuff that's going to be happening that'll be interesting this week on jobs data and the inflation front. So let's get down to it. Okay, so as usual, let's start out a quick review of what happened last week. Of course, the Jackson Hole Fed Powell speech was very much in focus, and he really didn't say anything that we already haven't heard, and I really didn't expect him to either. He's been pretty good at sticking to a script, and the script was inflation flight not over. We're data dependent. We're going to be watching the numbers. We'll raise more if we have to, and sort of sounded just a bit hawkish. No talk about rate cuts, which was basically it's either stay the course or possibility for more hikes later in the year. September, they're giving about a 20% possibility of a rate hike. That's kind of odds-on favorite. So not a lot of people expecting a rate hike September. November, it does go up to, I think, over 50%. So there is maybe more of a chance of a rate hike later in the year. Of course, NVIDIA earnings was basically a big buy the rumor, sell the news event. You saw that blew out numbers, but I think that obviously it had been priced in and it gapped up higher and really sold off. The whole market really sold off Thursday. NVIDIA taking it down, taking the market down. So pretty crazy Friday or Thursday, I should say, with that NVIDIA earnings report. So the indexes kind of got a mixed bag here. Qs and S&P up a little bit. The Dow and the IWM down a little bit, but certainly technology was one of the sectors that performed well last week. Consumer discretionary was up actually a little bit, which was surprising given, but the retail sales were also up, so maybe that was gave that a little bit of a boost. Energy and consumer staples were the biggest losers, so interesting. Energy's sort of flip-flopping between biggest winner and biggest loser week over week here. The two-year treasuries up. You can see there we inched our way above 5%, and the 10-year not really changed very much. 4.23, 4.25 says up, but it was really unchanged on the week. So the most notable thing was we got above that 5% level on the two-year bond market pricing and maybe possibility of more hikes coming in the short term. US dollar was up, of course, as interest rates go up. Usually the US dollar goes up with it, so it's been really strong. Bitcoin just sort of flat on the week, hovering around that 26,000 level. I think I'm watching that level especially because if we do lose that level, that will be a key support that'll be broken there. So keep an eye on that. And that's the week. All right, and before we start looking at some specific charts, this is the part of the video where I like to do a quick plug for my book on Amazon. There it is, Money Management Rules, Strategies, and the Routines of an Active Stock and Option Trader. You can check that out there on Amazon if you're interested. So let's get to it and look at some charts here. And we'll start, of course, with the two-year. You can see here, as I mentioned already, we've popped our head above the 5% level. Treasuries, the bond traders are obviously pricing in some more rate hikes coming, and we'll see if that comes to pass. But certainly inflation is not where the Fed want it to be. So like I said, 2 year has gone above that sort of key 5% level this week and probably heading higher by the looks of that chart. The 10-year, we did pop above the 4.25 level that I talked about last week, which was back here from October 22. The high, we have been sort of flirting around this level right now. Finished 4.25 on the week right at that level. And possibility for it to go higher as well there. You can see MACD, RSI, they're all heading in strong in terms of momentum. So let's take a look at the transports. Again, transports are really stuck. They've been stuck sort of in a range this week. And on a weekly, again, we've sort of found a bottom after this sort of month of pullbacks. This is prior level of resistance, which has now obviously become support. And we'll see what happens here, but it's kind of at sort of a do or die situation there. It's either going to start to move back up again or possibly fail from this level. So that's a pretty key area to watch, this sort of 15,500 area on the transports. The Dow, again, we've kind of had a choppy week here, really big sell-off Thursday, a little bit of a comeback move here Friday, inside day on Friday. But again, back into this area where we've had lots of volume, and there should be some support in that area. And on a weekly, of course, we have actually lost this sort of level, but you could argue that this level here is more relevant, the sort of 34,000 level. The Dow did get down to that level pretty much on the week and bounced off it. And so we'll see what happens with the Dow, but I'd be watching the 34,000 level on the Dow. A loss of that would probably indicate going lower. Again, Q's kind of at an area of where we had some prior support, somewhere around 360 here. Again, we bounced off that level on Friday. And on a weekly, again, big sort of move on, probably mostly around this NVIDIA trade. So SPY, again, sort of in an area of support. We did bounce from it on Friday. And yeah, so sort of same story with all the indexes, down at support, bounced off it, and not a convincing bounce, but we'll have to see how the next week plays out here. And IWM, again, bounce off this, pretty much off this 200-day moving average, this 182 level. So again, IWM, flirting with a breakdown here, but managed to save itself on the week. And yeah, again, all these movage averages on the weekly kind of into these ranges right now. And the IWM, if we do go into a recession, obviously this is the index that will probably get hurt the most. So you can see here on Friday, the VIX popped up Thursday, pulled back on Friday. That's a pretty typical pattern. See the VIX drop a little on Friday as people cover their positions. So that again, we're well off these lows here, and now we've sort of established a new sort of trading range here between 15 and 18. So again, momentum started rolling over again here. So you can see stochastics, we are, when stochastics go below 50, rallies tend to fade often, and you can see MACD rolling over, RSI rolling over as well. So maybe volatility dropping off a little bit there. The dollar has just been on fire. You can see here sort of I guess it's, you want to call it a safe haven trade. But this is where money has been going, and wow, the dollar is it just continues to go higher. This is gold. I'm surprised gold and silver have held up pretty well despite this rise in the dollar. Of course, this isn't good for emerging markets either. But you can see here a lot of volume in this range. These are volume bars. You can see there's been a lot of volume at these prices, and now we are breaking out. I could easily see us going up here to 29.50 and then even to 30. Test that high from back in September 2022 there. So interesting. Anyway, let's get on to Bitcoin. You can see Bitcoin here. We're kind of just really volatile. You can see all these wicks it's throwing. Every time it drops below 26,000, it pops back up. So you can see that's a pretty significant area of support. That's from back here from June as well. It's kind of an area we broke out from back here. And again, if we do lose this level, this moving average, obviously 24,000 could come into play, and that would be sort of relevant with these numbers as well. So that's where we are with all the indexes and some of our key indicators. And let's get to looking at some of the charts that some of the stocks I'm watching again this week. Apple's really been struggling since this earnings report. You can see it drop down. This sort of 175 level is an area that seems to want to hold. Again, these moving averages, the short-term one, the 20 is really rolling over, 50 is going sloping down as well. It looks like It is starting to tick up a bit here, so maybe we might get a bit of a bounce on Apple. Could be an inverse head and shoulders here. This sort of 180 level, I'd be watching that level, 180. If we can break above that, it could be a positive sign. Volume, not really much happening here with volume, sort of looking average. But again, this it almost looked like we were going to break out here. Then we had the NVIDIA report on Thursday, and market everything sold off. But Apple kind of held in there. So a little bit constructive on Apple. Certainly possible to sell a 175 put if you're an options trader. And then maybe buy the 170 put below it if you wanted to protect yourself from a catastrophic downside. AMAT, last week I traded AMAT, this 152.50. Love this area for a call sale. So I sold some calls here. They expired worthless, and I just kept the premium. Right now, AMAT, I'll look at that doing that again, but I'm like I said, I don't know what kind of premium I'll get. I might have to go to the 150s to get decent premium on it. Amazon again seems to be kind of just, it dropped, it popped up, then it's dropped, now it's come below this trading range. Possibility to sell someone sort of some calls in this area, 137s, 140s, definitely looks like an area of resistance for the time being. Boeing had some bad news, I guess, come out about their 737 Max again, another issue that needs to be addressed. But we had a big sell-off on Thursday because of that. Bounce back on Friday. Might be too late to take action on that, but I was really seriously considering trading this as a overreaction, plus the downside that the market experienced. I missed that, but we'll look for that possible entry there. So could sell some puts there. Now 230 is looking like could be resistance for the time being. Ford, I'm still watching Ford. Ford looks like it's trying to hold this level. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about with Ford is just the general market, but I think if you take some really long-term look at Ford, I think it probably can come back, maybe into next year. Google, again, Google's really just, it looked like it tried to break out here, and it was breaking out on Thursday in the pre-market session, and the markets opened up with NVIDIA up, and then it just sold off with the rest of the market, and especially the tech sector. But again, this level here, 127, 128, looks really solid for Google. NVIDIA, again, what can you say? A big sell-off on Thursday after that earnings. Buy the rumor, sell the news. But again, even sold off a little bit more on Friday. But I think this level here, this 440, is probably a pretty solid area where NVIDIA will find buyers. Tesla's coming back. I'm not really keen on the fundamentals on Tesla aren't great. I mean, I think they're counting on China as being their a good market for them, and the Chinese market is a complete disaster right now. So you can see here we have filled this sort of gap again. We've come back up, and then now this 240 level is looking kind of important. And if we can break above that, price is boss. So we could come up to 250 to even to this 257 level, all these moving averages here. Volume not great on Tesla. So, but it does look like this 230 level is something that it's trying to hold. Energy, I'm watching energy right now. I did have a position in it. I sold it. Didn't really do much, unfortunately. It looked like it was going to go higher here, ABCD pattern after it bounced off this moving average, but again, it failed here, so had to exit the trade. And it really looks stuck here. I think energy, again, if there's going to be a recession, energy doesn't typically do well in a recession. So, keep an eye on that one right now. And consumer discretionary, this is really still holding up pretty well, despite some of the stuff that we've heard from some of the retailers. Again, had a real sell-off on Thursday, a bit of a bounce back on Friday, but I'm kind of watching this 162 level. We did gap down here, but came back up. So if we can go drop below 162 and close there on the day, then I think there's a lot of more downside here. You can see a lot of price and volume as a lot of volume has transacted in this price level. And once we get into this level, you can see there isn't a lot of volume that has been transacted here. So this could really add to a flush on the discretionaries. So we'll see how that plays out. So that's it for my sectors, and let's wrap things up. Okay, here, let's wrap things up. Week of August 28th, last week in August, sort of last week of the summer. You can see here, there's your indexes, support, and resistance. So I won't go through all those numbers, but there they are. For economic events, we do have some interesting stuff, like I said, coming up this week. We've got the Schiller Price Index, job openings, consumer confidence on Tuesday, this ADP employment report. Of course, that's one of the focuses of the Fed, how employment is doing. And we've got retail and wholesale inventories Wednesday. This PCE index is the inflation indicator that the Fed favors. So this will be an interesting news event on Thursday around 8:30, along with these jobless claims that we get every Thursday, and then we get U.S. payrolls and wage data. And again, this is something obviously the Fed is watching fairly closely. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that data if the payrolls continue to show a little bit of weakening, which would be a good thing, I guess, if you're a bull and hoping for a little bit of a slowdown in wage or wage inflation, that kind of stuff. Although, you keep hearing about these big settlements that are being made by the unions, and like UPS got a huge increase, their drivers. Not saying they're not worth it, but again, just something that's going to drive inflation. Monday, and as far as earnings go, of course, nothing of note. We do have some interesting earnings on Tuesday. NEO, that's Best Buy. Big PDD, and then on Wednesday we've got CrowdStrike and CRM, Chewy after the close. Ululu will be an interesting one. That's obviously a retailer, fairly popular retailer, and Broadcom, of course. So lots of interesting stuff coming up this week, and again, it's going to make for an interesting week. So enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody. We will see you hopefully at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, where Jared starts with in engineering the markets. And then, of course, 8:30, a pre-market show. And with Peter, Carlos will be on vacation. And, of course, Trading the Market Open with myself. And Andrew is in Burning Man this week. So I'm kind of envious that he's there. Was planning on going again, but just didn't work out this year. So maybe next year. Anyway, that's it. And like I said, enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll see you on Monday morning. Hopefully, bye for now.